On DirecTV, iHeartRadio, Roku, and the World Wide Web, this is Enemies of the State with Tom Trento.
All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Enemies of the State. Normally your host is the estimable Tom Trento, but Tom is off on a special assignment right now, so I will be your host. My name is Damon Rosen, and we have a very, very good show in store for you today. A couple of really good guests. And just a quick what's going on in the world before we get right into who many consider the godfather of the counter-jihad movement. I'm sure the big news on all the TVs, in every living room in the country, is what's going on in Baltimore and the mess that they are creating there. Nothing says we need to straighten out the police force like burning the city down. The logic behind destroying your own community is something that I can make absolutely no sense of. And the way that the mayor, the governor, everyone has handled that is an absolute joke. You would think after watching Ferguson burn that they might have been a little bit more prepared for what was going to happen, especially in so much of a much larger and historically more violent city. So Baltimore, congratulations again. Secondly, we have Hillary Clinton. It looks like the uranium one and the Clinton Foundation stories are not dying as quickly as most stories that are anti-Hillary. So everyone keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully Hillary will not be the next president of the United States. A little side note to something. I think I told you guys last week the United West team was up for National Muslim Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill, sponsored by a Muslim Brotherhood group called the USCMO, U.S. Council of Muslim Organizations. It's an umbrella group of a bunch of Muslim Brotherhood organizations. Well, there seems to be a little bit of split among some of the organizations within the USCMO umbrella. And it has to do with their statement on the Armenian genocide with the blood on the hands of the Turks. Realize the Turks finance a great deal of the Muslim Brotherhood worldwide. So when one faction comes out saying, "Oh, nothing to see here," the USCMO did that. Came out and said, "Oh, there's really no benefit to coming out and even talking about the Armenian genocide," whereas some of the other groups are saying, "Hey, that's not the right way." So there's a little bit of a crack in the veneer of that less than 1-year-old Muslim Brotherhood political group. Also, Israel. We're going to hit that with our second guest. We're going to have Arie Egozi on, coming to us from the greater Tel Aviv area. And it's just been hopping in Israel. A lot going on the northern border with both, more on the Syrian side, but stuff going on within Syria, and even have some shells falling on the Israeli side of the border in the Golan. We'll talk to Arie about that. Now, we are going to get to the great one. And when I say the great one, I mean it. Because this guy, like I said, is known as the godfather of the counter-jihad movement. And he is going to be putting on an event this weekend, Sunday, in Garland, Texas. And is the Muhammad Art Exhibit and Contest. That's right, where you are encouraged to draw or paint Muhammad, and there will be a $10,000 first place prize for the winner of this contest. I wish that I was artistic, but I'm not. So I am going to pick my computer up, walk over to the Great Wall of the West, and give a warm welcome to my guest, the estimable Robert Spencer. How you doing, man?
I love that Godfather thing. I wish I had a cat in my lap right now.
How are you, Robert?
Very well, thank you. And to what favor can I grant you on this day of my daughter's wedding?
Oh, get out of here. Is it really?
Well,
hello. That was a I'm
Yes.
sorry, Robert. I missed it there for a second, Godfather. I'll kiss your ring on Sunday when I see you.
Luca coming to see you, so be careful.
I'm going to be seeing you on Sunday.
Yes, indeed.
In Garland, Texas. Scene of the crime, where that's actually the last time I saw you was in Garland as well. It was the Stand with the Prophet event.
Yes.
Muslim Brotherhood group out of Chicago put the event on. Myself and Alan Kornman that I work with had purchased our tickets, bought our plane tickets, bought our hotel, rental car, the whole bit. After we landed in Dallas, we were told that we couldn't get in. So I spent the most of the day outside at the protest with you guys, you and Pamela Geller. And I think it was certainly more fun than being in there with a bunch of Muslim brothers.
I'm sure that it was, but what happened to you happened to many other people who tried to get into that event. It's very interesting because they claim to be all about dialogue and openness and building bridges with non-Muslims, but any non-Muslims who actually want to talk to them, they won't talk to. They just want to talk at us and lecture us about how Islam is a religion of peace and anybody who thinks otherwise is a greasy Islamophobe and so on.
And they'll chop your head off. That's how peaceful it is.
Yes, indeed. What is it? Behead those who insult Islam and all that.
Absolutely. Are you expecting a protest at the event this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you, we have very high security for this because obviously it's a controversial event, but that's one of the main reasons why we're doing it. We have to stand up against violent intimidation, or those who practice violent intimidation will rule us. And so if they say they're going to kill us for showing cartoons of Muhammad, then we have to show cartoons of Muhammad. It's as simple as that. And so we have police, we have FBI, we have our own private security. There's even a SWAT team is going to be there. It's going to be very, very high security. And the thing is that they are all monitoring for threats and for chatter. There has been some, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if there are protests, but haven't heard anything about them.
I'm feeling pretty safe.
Oh, yeah.
I'm feeling safe. And anyone in the area, I want to pull up the flyer for the event right now. Pardon me turning my back on you, but we're a little short-handed. This
is just sort of a weird angle, Damon. It's a strange thing because I'm not actually 20 feet taller than you.
No. In fact, I think we're about the exact same height.
Yeah, that's just what's so strange about it.
Neither you or I are used to being taller than most people.
Yes, yes. I just feel so huge. I guess I'll skip lunch.
Well, you are huge metaphorically.
Yes.
Michael, can you go ahead? Actually, you know what? I don't think I turned my IVGA on yet. I've got a picture of the flyer right here, and it is. Can you go ahead and pull up my computer, Mike? It's called the AFDI presents the inaugural Muhammad Art Exhibit and Contest 2015, and it is it's a picture of what appears to be an Arab man, I'm sure supposed to be Muhammad, doing a self-portrait. And I think this promises to be an exceptional, exceptional event. This is going to be covered, I believe, worldwide. I mean, I am sure Al Jazeera and some of the other foreign news correspondents are going to be there covering this.
If they haven't asked for a press pass. Because security is so high, we're not letting anybody in who just walks up.
Right.
And we have had requests for press passes from all over, Reuters, various European news outlets, AP, I believe. I don't have the list right in front of me, but Al Jazeera is not on there. So if they show up, they will not be let in. But Reuters will be inside, and others. And the great thing about the press passes, Damon, is that we knew that the mainstream media was so dead set against what we're doing here and standing up for free speech that they should be defending, that we put that Muhammad self-portrait artwork on the press passes as well. So all the press will be carrying cartoons of Muhammad.
Fantastic. You know, what's amazing is I want to go over a couple of the stories that you feature on your website. And for those of you not familiar with Robert Spencer, you must go to his website and go every day. It is jihadwatch.org. Jihadwatch.org. It is the best compilation of jihad and Sharia-related stories going on around the world, and it is packed every day. What would you say? You put up a dozen stories a day on average?
Actually, 10 a day on average.
10,
so
you're
overestimating me.
I'm so off there. I want to just mention a couple to give the listeners and viewers a little bit of an idea of the stories you cover. Now, and this is actually a very important story. This one, Gawker laments AFDI's legal victories for the freedom of speech. Your organization, you and Pamela Geller, American Freedom Defense Initiative, just won a big case in the New York public transportation system, didn't you?
Yes. We wanted to run ads that told the story, the real story of jihad, to counter the cynical and deceptive ads that the Hamas-linked Council on American Islamic Relations ran that claim that jihad is, running with your feet bare through a field or blowing milk bubbles through a straw. And we actually used real quotes from real jihadis to show what jihad really is. It's a threat. The MTA in New York wouldn't run them, so we sued and won. We've won many other free speech cases, and instead of celebrating this as a journalistic outfit, Gawker is all upset and says it's weird that a group like ours would be winning all these free speech cases. And I think, they don't really realize that our opinions are true, but they are unpopular these days. And Gawker doesn't realize, just like the rest of the mainstream media doesn't realize, their positions could be unpopular one day, and then they'll be glad that we won all these free speech cases to protect them.
Exactly. That's the point. To have press organizations having a problem with others winning free speech cases is the world upside down.
Yes, it is.
It's so sad. But congratulations to you and Pamela on winning that case. Very important for all Americans, not just you and your organization. It's important for the First Amendment for all Americans to win a case like that. And thank you to David Yerushalmi, who we're very familiar with as well. Congratulations to them. Did Robert Muse help you with that too, or was that all David?
Yeah, absolutely. We worked with the American Freedom Law Center, which is, of course, headed up by Yerushalmi and Muse.
Gotcha. Here's another one of your stories. Boston Marathon jihad murderer's mother, the Tsarnaev's in-law.
No, Tsarnaev's mother-in-law.
Islam was his obsession.
Yes.
It sounds like they're almost linking blowing up the marathon and Islam. But
yeah,
that would be Islamophobic,
we were always told
it?
That was not the case, but Judith Russell here has sort of spilled the beans. Anybody who was really paying attention to the case knew it all along. The surviving brother Jahar, he's never made it a secret that he did this for Islam and jihad, but it's always been denied. And now Judith Russell, who is the mother of Catherine Russell, the wife of Tamerlan Tsarnaev, says he was obsessed with Islam, he was obsessed with jihad, and that's what it was all about.
Beautiful. Next story. This one is so beautiful. Photo of newborn with gun and grenade features Islamic State's first official birth certificate.
Yes. Congratulations. Mabruk. It's such a cute little baby, too.
It is. But you know what? Tell us about that for a second. I'm going to run into the control room. Go ahead and tell that story so I can bring up a picture.
The thing about the baby is that this photo was released by an opposition activist in that area who is trying to marshal opposition to the Islamic State. And he wrote next to the picture there on Twitter that the baby was going to grow up not just to threaten him and them, the opposition to the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, but also us. And that is absolutely true, that we're talking about a new generation of jihadis being raised up in the Islamic State. We are going to be hearing from them for decades to come.
Decades.
Decades.
And last week or 2 weeks ago, Tom and I and Mark were watching videos of the Hamas summer camps. I don't know if you've seen any of those videos, but you talk about damning a whole generation.
Oh, yeah. They're being raised to be killers, and that's all they're being raised to be. And so they go and they learn Quran, and they learn how to use weapons, and that's what their schooling consists of.
Unbelievable. To hell with science and math and social studies, right?
Yep.
Here's another one. This one, Robert, it's a good thing they don't let you in Britain anymore. Bring this story up, Michael. UK Labour leader says his government will criminalize Islamophobia.
Yes. That means that any resistance, any opposition, any critical word about Islam, any notice that Islamic jihadis use the texts and teachings of Islam to justify violence, that will get you a prison sentence. And so Britain is dead. If this guy becomes prime minister and he succeeds in making this a law, then Britain as a free society is dead. It's essentially an Islamic state. You have to adhere to Sharia blasphemy laws, or you're going to be treated as a criminal. And he said it's going to be on your record forever. They're going to keep it on there so that you are always stigmatized. Anytime you try to go and get a job or something, they'll say, oh, no, we don't hire Islamophobes.
Unbelievable. It's just like they were trying to track down the purchasers of the commemorative Charlie Hebdo magazines.
Yes, exactly. And Britain is well on its way to becoming a police state that enforces Sharia. People have no idea how far along it is.
Unbelievable. Robert, I just want to throw up, now that I have my connection, I want to throw up the flyer and have you just give one last word on the Sunday event, why it's important, and then I will let you go, and I will see you this weekend. Mike, go ahead and come to my computer and bring up the flyer, if you would.
That is the flyer. I love the flyer. It's a takeoff of an old Norman Rockwell painting where he is painting his self-portrait, and that is Muhammad, of course, painting his. And around the periphery, you see Obama in his Muslim garb, which is, of course, a real photograph, and an old man with a young child as Muhammad married the 9-year-old Aisha, consummated the marriage when she was 9 and he was 54.
Married at 6, consummated at 9.
Yes, exactly. And various others. And the exhibit and the cartoon contest is important because we are standing for the freedom of speech.
Oh.
And I'm over here. And
hit end call on that. Sorry about that, Robert. We had someone
call it
in.
I'll hide behind this.
Hey, this isn't Fox Studios, man.
So anyway, the thing is that the winning cartoonist is a well-known counter-jihadist, Bosch Faustin, and he will win $10,000 as the winning cartoonist. The cartoon that he drew, you can see on Jihad Watch or Pamela Geller's site, pamelageller.com, or in a column that we wrote on Breitbart. And it's got Muhammad being drawn, and you see him saying to the cartoonist, "You cannot draw me," and the cartoonist says, "That is why I must draw you." And this is the whole point, that this is the defense of the freedom of speech. We will not be silenced. We will not submit. We will not kowtow to violent intimidation. We will not bow to thuggery. And this is why this event is so important.
Yes! All right, Robert, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Good luck with the event. I will see you there.
Okay.
And we're going to get some real good video coverage. We'll share it with your readers, our viewers, and we'll get the word out after it's all done.
Fantastic. Thanks so much,
Thanks,
David.
Robert.
See you
Thanks
there.
for coming on. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike, go ahead and call Arie back, if you would.
All right.
Well, folks, radio audience, viewing audience, whoa, there I am. I'm back. Hello. We're a little short-handed. It is 23 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. You're listening to 740 WSBR radio on your AM dial, Monday through Friday. Don't miss us. If you're listening and you want to see the show, because it's actually much better to watch the show, not because we're pretty, but we have good graphics and videos and stuff like that. Check us out. Go to theunitedwest.org. Theunitedwest.org if you want to see any of our old program, and boy, do we have a bunch of it. Go to youtube.com/theunitedwest, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of program. Long videos, short videos, all our dailies. Sounds like we got Arie on. Let me do a little bit more station ID. We're also on in the Tampa Bay area, 1010 WHFS. And like to say hello to our terrorist friends up there, Hassan Shibli, the head of CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, and Ahmed Badir, the cultural terrorists and civilizational jihadists. Hi, guys. Feel free to call that CARE office up there and ask them why they have a terrorist running it. And the answer is they're a terrorist organization. That's right. Now, without further ado, I am going to bring on Mr. Arie Egozi. Is he with us, Mike?
Yes, well, I'm here, yes.
All right, I'm going to walk back over to the Great Wall of the West. And please give a nice welcome. I'm making Mike in there pretty nuts. You doing okay, buddy?
Yeah, doing all right, man.
All right, let's go to TV1. Let's go to TV1.
Oops, sorry about that.
There he is. Arie, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, How are you?
I'm doing very well. Things are pretty busy over there in Israel, huh?
Yeah, very hectic, very hectic. There was an attempt to put an explosive device on the Syrian border, and four Hezbollah people were killed. There were some phantom attacks. Nobody knows who attacked the shipments of missiles from Iran via Syria to Lebanon. The foreign press says that it's Israel. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have any clue about it. I don't have a clue. We call it phantom attacks.
Yeah,
Phantom
absolutely.
of the Opera, Phantom of Lebanon and Syria. Israel sent a field hospital to Nepal with two C-40, C-130Js to assist the people of Nepal after the earthquake and to evacuate some 250 Israelis, two 747 of El Al. Israel is the only country in the world that sent soldiers with a field hospital fully equipped to assist the poor people. And things from minute to minute, mortar shells fell in the Golan Heights today.
Now,
but,
I read that was possibly spillover from the Syrian war.
Yeah, it's a spillover from, but tension is big. There's a new training camp of the Hamas near the place where you visited on the Gaza border, and they're using a live fire every day there, and they're launching rockets into the sea, developing new versions of the Qassam and other rockets.
Was that near the Ashkol Regional Council?
Yes, where we were where near Am in the kibbutz, very near to the border, they built a new training camp on the border, and they're using live fire every day training. Things are happening all day here, and but Iran is behind everything. Iran is behind things in Gaza. That's
what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you how much of the pestering that Hezbollah is doing up in the Golan and the Lebanese border. How much of this do you think is under orders from Iran to just somewhat take Israel's eye off of the ball a little bit, or maybe to get their attention away from the nuclear deal?
Let me update you. I got a briefing yesterday somewhere in Israel. Everything is conducted by Iran. Hezbollah is not moving a small finger without a direct order from Tehran. So everything, the explosive device that was almost put near the fence to kill Israeli soldiers is a directive from Tehran. Everything is made, everything is conducted, everything is controlled by Tehran in Gaza and in the Golan Heights. So there's no question about it. We know that everything is controlled, everything is coordinated by Iran. It has people sent to Lebanon. They are in direct touch with Tehran. So we consider Lebanon now and Hezbollah and southern Lebanon as an extension of Iran. It's not a sovereign country. It's simply an extension of Iran.
Now, when we were up at Kibbutz Mizgav, the kibbutz at the end of the world, next to the IDF outpost, what we call the kibbutz cowboys were telling us basically that they don't even consider that land on the other side of the border fence. They don't even call it Lebanon anymore. They just call it Hezbollah. That
it's called Hezbollah land.
Lebanon has no control over anything. There are no Lebanese flags. There are no Lebanese soldiers. It is all Hezbollah, which is an international terrorist organization.
It's controlled by Hezbollah. By the way, 2 of the 4 terrorists that were killed on the fence are they lived in Majdal Shams. It's a Jews village on the Golan Heights, Syrian Jews. They left Israel 2 years ago with their father, and now they were recruited by Hezbollah in Lebanon, and they came with 2 others to put that huge explosive device, and the Israeli outpost with very advanced sensors spotted them and killed them immediately. So this is not Lebanon. This is Hezbollah then.
Right.
This is, to be accurate, this is Iran. This is Iran.
Now, do you think Iran is acting with such impunity because it seems like Obama has Iran's back no matter how out of line they get? Do you think that because they're at this stage of the negotiations, they realize that they've had Obama bending over backwards to do anything they want? Do you think they're pushing the limits of not even acceptable behavior? Are they getting more out of line because they have no fear of the U.S. and Obama having any retaliation whatsoever?
I'll give you an update for the last minute. Iranian warship yesterday, tonight, took over a U.S. cargo ship in the Gulf.
What?
And yes. The ship is not an American one. It has the Marshall Island flag, but there were American sailors on the ship. And in these moments exactly, the Americans and the Israelis are trying to see what happened there. They took the ship into an Iranian port, and that shows, in my opinion, that the Iranians have no fear from the U.S. They feel that they can do anything they want, and to take a ship, even with 1 American sailor on board, and to actually kidnap it, or hijack it, and take it into Iranian harbor, it's thing that never happened before.
Yeah, I've got the story right here. Iran forces open fire on, sees trespassing U.S. cargo ship with 34 people on board.
That's exactly what the Israeli intelligence is now trying to get all the. It happened in the last few minutes. We got the information here, and that shows you, that answers your question.
Yes,
the Iranian don't give I'm not allowed to say that, but they don't consider the U.S. as something that has to be taken into consideration, and that shows you that's the utmost proof. We don't need any more proof. To shoot at a cargo ship in the open seas with American sailors on board, what do you need more?
That's unbelievable. Listen, we talk about this on the show all the time. It is the Muslim and Arab, and in this case Persian mentality of strong horse, weak horse. And once you have shown that you are a weak horse, you get no respect from anyone in the region. They view Obama as a doormat, essentially.
Absolutely. They don't think about U.S. with the Obama administration as a power that can change anything. The talks with Iran, as I said before, is a joke. Nothing will come out of it. Israel knows exactly what was concluded, as they say in the last round of talks. It's nothing of value, nothing. Words and words and words. And if they even if they sit now for another 2 years, nothing will come out of it, because the Iranians do not respect. They don't think that the U.S. will do anything to them if they continue to spit in the face of the American. So no respect for the U.S. in the region, no respect, nothing.
I mean, to think how far we have fallen from the days of Ronald Reagan, the first George Bush, the second George Bush, where we actually intimidated, and our policies, we didn't have to go in and wreak havoc. All we had to do was be a credible threat. Our threats are no longer credible. No one views anything out of this president's mouth as a credible threat. Crossing red lines means nothing for this president. I don't know if you saw an article in Israel National News by Mark Langfan. I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago. We had him on the show as a guest yesterday. But it's called Obama's Last Red Line. And he's referencing the blockade of the Iranian ships trying to resupply the Houthis in Yemen. And it's basically saying, if this red line gets crossed, that's it. That's the last line, because then the whole Middle East tumbles.
Let me give you another example. The coalition, so-called, against ISIS, led by the U.S. I talked with some Israeli intelligence experts. I don't want to use the words they use because this is a very civilized program on U.S.
Come as close as you can without me needing my bleep machine.
Yes, but it's not even a joke. It's nothing. 2 aircraft every 2 days. Dropping some bombs on some desert
on some camels.
This is not the way to fight an organization, a deadly organization like ISIS. I don't know what happened to the U.S. It doesn't want to do anything serious against terror. Nothing.
No, we like to lead from behind. Didn't you know that? We like to lead from behind. How you fly an airplane that's supposed to bomb people from behind? I mean, listen. This is like the old joke of the French tanks. They have 2 speeds, reverse and neutral. That seems to be like the mode that this president is in, reverse and neutral, because the way he has taken Iraq and turned a victory into a defeat by not establishing a status of forces agreement and basically handing the country to the Iranians, handing Iraq to the Iranians, which for those of you that don't, okay, if you look at a map, if the Islamic State just powers through Western Iraq, Jordan could fall in all of 10 minutes. Arie, you've told us before that the Jordanian army is a tin can.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely. So, Iraq has been ISIS, and the U.S. is now supplying F-16 to the Iraqi Air Force. They can supply directly to ISIS. Why go through an Iraqi airbase? You can do it directly with UPS. So this is, I don't understand really. I've been in this business for many years. I've seen all kinds of twisted and strange things. This beats them all. Beats them all. I really don't understand it.
And you're no spring chicken.
Sorry?
And you're no spring chicken. You've seen a few things.
I saw a few things. I talk with people who've been around, people with connections, people who have people in Washington. They talk with them on a daily basis. They really take their hair from their heads every day when they talk with their counterparts in Washington. Even in Washington, the professional people do not understand how the superpower, the U.S., can behave in such a chickenly way in Iraq, in Iran. And that's why those phantom attacks on shipments of Fatah 110 and M600 rockets and missiles that come from Iran via Syria to Lebanon were destroyed at least twice last week by some unnamed Air Force, because people, countries in the area have come to the conclusion that the U.S. is doing nothing. And when the U.S. is doing nothing, those unidentified forces have to take care of their business, of their interests.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people would say, you know what, it's about time those countries took care of their own business. Why does America have to go halfway around the world to fight a bunch of crazy Muslims?
Why?
But we are a few
minutes ago, an Iranian ship fired shots on an American cargo ship. What do you need more?
No,
what proof do you need more?
Yeah, no, I was saying some people feel that way. Here's a question for you, and this blew me away. It came out last week, and I think we had you on the show like the day before it came out. But the crazy Russians have the deal to arm Iran with the surface-to-air missiles that could be a great impediment to the Israeli Air Force. What are they thinking?
Well, Putin is not counting the U.S. now. The U.S. for years asked the Russian not to supply those missiles to Syria and to Iran. To Syria, he didn't supply it because the Syrians don't have the money to pay for that. That's the reason.
That makes sense.
And now he is spitting in the face of Washington. He said, I need the money, I need the billions of dollars, and I'm going to supply the S-300 missiles to Iran. No matter what you say, we don't count you anymore. And again, every day we have another proof that the US is not taken seriously in that region. And that is, to my opinion, this is a reason for a big worry for what is called the free world.
Now, it is. It's a very big worry. When you have what was known as the world's policeman on the scene for the better part of half a century, essentially. We have been the world's policeman for half a century, and we have abdicated that position. And when you leave a power vacuum, bad things tend to take that over. So for those that complain that we can't have that worldly presence forever, well, guess what? The world is a much more dangerous and scary place without us being the world's policeman. You have rogue nations like Iran. You have psychotic former superpowers like Russia, filling that void that we once had. So what's better, for us to act as the world's policeman, or for the world to go haywire? And we're looking at multiple wars and multiple regions around the world because we no longer have that stabilizing presence in the region.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that so many examples in recent weeks and months that the US has lost every influence it has on Iran, on things in the Middle East, in the Gulf region, and these are national interests of the US. The Hormuz Straits and all. If you look at the map, you understand in 2 minutes that these are American interests. It's not something that is far away. It has to do directly with the national interest of the U.S. And I don't understand the position that the U.S. has taken in the last few years as neglecting every interest it has in the region as if it's on another planet.
Well, part of it has to do, excuse me, part of it has to do, Michael, are we okay with the
It just started.
video there?
It just started getting fuzzy.
Okay.
Let me see if I can touch it.
Part of it has to do with Obama's worldview of being an anti-colonialist. Okay, so you could tell starting back in 2009 with his apology tour speech starting at Cairo University that the guy was against America being the world's policeman, for America being responsible for order anywhere in the world. Mike, if you could work on that a touch.
I'm trying to. It's the feed coming from
and
his
so
end.
it's been very clear since the beginning of his presidency that the guy is looking for a U.S. retreat and withdrawal from everything having to do around the world. That's not basically on our shores. He doesn't even care about the Mexican border. Why do you, so he certainly doesn't care about the borders overseas. So it's an absolute joke. I was going to bring up a map for you. And for those people, you really need to look at a map. Yesterday's guest on the show was Mark Langfan. He's known as the Map Man. And it's very hard to understand the world of geopolitics without looking at a map. Mike's having some issues with the TriCaster here, Arie. Sorry, we still have you on, though. It's very hard to understand the world of geopolitics without looking at maps and how bodies of water and mountains really define what is a strong point, where certain tribes come from, and that is all dependent on whether it be rivers, coastlines, mountain ranges, and things like that. So, we're bringing up, yesterday we spent the whole day focusing on Yemen and the Iranian influence on Yemen and what that means to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Now, can you tell, first of all, I want to backtrack to Russia supplying the S-300s to Iran. How is the Israeli-Russian relationship? That's something that I'm not very familiar with, and I don't know if many people in our audience is.
The Israeli-Russian relations are all the time on a very thin line. Israel asked Moscow not to supply the missiles to Syria and Iran, and for that Israel agreed not to supply different weapon system to the Ukraine. Now everything is open. I think that Israel will now supply all the weapon systems to Ukraine because the Ukraine wants it, and it's good money for the Israeli defense industries. Israel, of course, respects Russia as a superpower, but I think that relations, it's not friendship, it's relations of interest, and when the interests are on the same level, it works. The minute it's not on the same level, everything is broken, and that happens after President Putin lifted the embargo on the S-300 missiles to Iran. In that moment, I think Israel has to say, thank you very much. Now we are supplying the Ukraine with UAVs and with other systems, and Poland with surface-to-air missiles. I don't think that Israel trusts Russia.
No one should trust Russia.
Sorry?
I said no one should trust Russia.
Yes, but I don't think Israel trusts Russia. But it's a very delicate situation because there are many Jews in Russia still. Many of them came to Israel. There are different interests, but it's a very peculiar set of relations. And it's very shaky. It can change overnight, and that happened when President Putin 2 weeks ago announced that he's lifting the embargo, and the Iranians will get the S-300, which will make it harder for the Israeli Air Force, if worst come to worst, to attack the nuclear sites in Iran. I can tell you one thing: it will make it harder for the Israeli Air Force, but the Israeli Air Force will still be capable to do that because Israel has learned the capability of the S-300 by going to countries that have the missile and teaching the capability of this missile. So Israel knows ways to defeat the system. But of course, it's another obstacle. So your questions, the relation with Russia are very delicate, very complex.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world is complex. And again, to get back what we were saying, the world is much more complex when the United States chooses to take a back seat in world matters. When you let a bunch of robots and wannabe superpowers battle it out for the world's resources, you end up with the mayhem that we're witnessing today. And Arie, like you said, in all your time, you've never seen such mayhem going on in the world, and particularly in your backyard.
Absolutely, that's the definition. It's mayhem. It's nothing. The ISIS is raging, killing people, throwing people from rooftops, beheading people. From Libya, thousands of people cross the Mediterranean to Italy, and the European Union is helpless. And I'll tell you, I'm sure that most of them are refugees, but many of them are terrorists who are using this link coming from Africa to Libya to Europe, and they are disappearing in the European countries. And when the day will come, they will perform terror attacks in European cities. That for sure. You don't have to be an intelligent expert to see that.
No, you
don't.
So
the Europeans are helpless. The US is helpless. And as you say, it's mayhem.
Well,
I don't remember such a strange situation.
No, and this is something I've been saying, and I don't think I mentioned this with you on the show last week, and that is all these refugees leaving Libya, whether they're Libyan or from some of the other African nations, all the dying people, all that blood is on the hands of Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama, because Muammar Gaddafi might not have been your ideal partner in anything. He might have been somewhat of a madman, but at least he kept the crazies in check. So instead of having one madman who gave up his weapons of mass destruction after we took out Saddam Hussein, he said, you know what? I think you guys could have my weapons of mass destruction. I'll just keep my fiefdom here. But
yeah, but it happened with Saddam Hussein in Iraq. It happened with Gaddafi in Libya. It happened with Mubarak in Egypt. That the U.S. when he called the White House for help, the U.S. deserted him when the revolution started. None of them was a democratic leader, but the countries were run on some strong basis.
Listen, you can't have democracy without literacy. Half the people in these countries can't even read. They don't need democracy. What
Absolutely.
they need is someone that keeps them fed and keeps them from killing each other. So that's
Absolutely.
why I said the blood of these migrants dying in the Med on their way to Italy, that blood is on the hands of Hillary Clinton, who, quote, when speaking about Muammar Gaddafi, we came, we saw, he died. And she
Absolutely.
did that. Her policy was contrary to the policies that the Pentagon was suggesting to her. The Pentagon knew that if you took Gaddafi out, you were going to have 20 different psycho militias battling for control of the country and its resources and who's going to be the leader. And that's exactly what you have now. That's why you have thousands of migrants jumping on overpacked boats trying to get out of there. Because the country that's left is an absolute cesspool. And that is due to the policies of Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. I have about 8 minutes left in the show, so we could keep talking about this a little bit. I thought we were bumping up against the hour. But I can't stress enough. I'd like to know, Republican Party, I know you're talking about the Clinton Foundation and the financing. You're talking about Uranium One, which is tremendous. Let's look at what she did and did not do. As Carly Fiorina said, flying around the world 1,000,000 miles isn't an accomplishment. That's an activity. Flying around the world is an activity, not an accomplishment. And the policies, I mean, thankfully, Morsi was able to, in the quote coup, we'll call it, to take back over from the Brotherhood in Egypt. But Libya is just left as an absolute terrorist cesspool. It's a rat's nest of Al-Qaeda and Al-Qaeda offshoots sending terrorists all over Europe. Yeah. And some of them are making their way here to America.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that looking at the U.S. as a secluded island is a mistake. People will get to the U.S. People are getting to Europe. They have forged passports. They can get everywhere. And I think that the stance that the U.S. has taken, as you say, sitting in the back seat, is influencing the world. It's influencing South America. It's influencing Africa. See Yemen. See Iraq, Jordan, Egypt. It's crazy. Someone has to take the wheel in his hands again and to put some order in the world, because this world is in a downslope, a very dangerous downslope.
Yeah, we have the inmates running the asylum, so to speak. It's like the warden just quit without having his replacement ready to go. You know, the warden being the United States. You know, you're talking about the United States treating itself as an island that all this craziness around the world doesn't really affect. I don't know if you saw, but last week the FBI came out and said that there have been domestic threats here from the Islamic State, from Daesh. About that?
Of course we heard about that. We know that in certain cities in the U.S. there is a majority of Islamic people. Again, not all of them are terrorists.
No, but all the terrorists are Muslim.
Many of them, and the potential is big because they are the majority. And I think that the FBI should be very, very active in trying to follow these people and to foil any attempt to do another September 11 or something similar in the U.S. And only a few weeks ago, I talked with one of the experts who is pointing again and again about a possibility of Iran using the people in the U.S. Operating an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, bringing a ship with container with a nuclear device that will take out the electricity and communication system in big cities in the U.S. This is a very clear and imminent danger, and I hope that the authorities in the U.S. are taking it seriously. I know that in Israel, this threat is being taken very, very seriously.
Yeah, that's very important point, is our power grid. One is, like you just mentioned, the EMP. You know, it's not that terribly difficult or expensive to safeguard the electrical grid from an EMP. An EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. It would take just a small nuke in the atmosphere to basically fry our electrical grid. If this country lost electricity, estimates are from 75 to 90% of the population would die in less than a year. I did not misquote that, folks. 75 to 90% of Americans would die in 1 year if our electric system went down. And it's not just the EMP. I read a pretty good article yesterday, I believe it was in Front Page Mag, where it wouldn't even require an EMP. There are enough cells here, whether they be Hezbollah that have come up through the Mexican border via Venezuela, or IS, or any number of terrorist organizations. We had an attack on a power station out in California last year that put the station out for 30 days plus and cost tens of millions of dollars to fix, I believe. And that was not a bomb. That was guys just clipping some phone wires and going crazy with some high-power firearms. That was not military-grade stuff, really. We got about 3 minutes in about 3.5 minutes to go in the show. But the fact that these power stations are oftentimes not protected by anything more than a chain-link fence is something that should concern us as citizens and should certainly concern the Department of Homeland Security and whatever other agencies are responsible for the security of these facilities. I don't know if that would be the EPA. I really don't know who that would fall under. I would assume it would be DHS. But the Center for Security Policy has done a lot on the threat of the EMP and the general risk of our power grid. Arie, give me your last thoughts on the day before we end the show here. Tell me what you want to say.
I want to say that I feel that the situation on the southern border and on the northern border is warming up. Iran is behind this warming up. And I think that Israel has to make clear again that it will not accept an attrition war of rockets on Israel, that if the Hamas and Hezbollah will start to launch rockets into Israel, they will get a big stick on their head, as we say, but something that has never been shown before. And I know that everything is ready, and I hope that the new government in Israel understands that Israel cannot sustain an attrition war. No. And if something starts, it will have to be cut off immediately in a matter of hours.
Right. No, none of this long drawn out wars, tit for tat. Oh, it's got to be firm. That's one thing that, believe it or not, with the last election, Netanyahu winning, he wasn't losing votes to the left when he was behind early. He was losing votes to those more to the right that were angry that he didn't squash Hamas. Isn't that right?
Yes, I think that Israel understand. I think that Netanyahu understand that what happened in Protective Edge cannot happen again. A 55-day operation that left, of course, Gaza in ruins, but they still have the capability to launch rockets and missiles. They are building bunkers on the Israeli border where you visited a few weeks ago. They are launching new versions of Qassam into the sea. They're getting ready. And Israel is supplying them with cement to build buildings. I saw an aerial photograph of Gaza. The thousands of tons of cement that have been transferred to Gaza did not help to build even one new building. Everything goes into tunnels, into bunkers. So I think that the policy, even of Israel, should be changed, because otherwise we'll face again a war from Gaza and from Lebanon.
All right. Arie, thank you very much for coming on the show on such short notice. I do appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in person again soon and regularly.
Me too. I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much, and say hello to all the guys there.
All right, Arie. Thanks a lot. We'll see you.
Thank you.
And
bye-bye.
everyone else,
Thanks.
Have a great day. This is Damon Rosen signing off for Tom Trento and Enemies of the State. See you tomorrow.